Like the massage is better than the sex, man. Like it's not even about the sex. It's about the experience. About feeling like this woman is just like you can use much pleasure as possible. But all the stuff I learned from the prostitutes, like the massages, I incorporate that into my life with her now. It's all gonna come to light once you hit that ayahuasca, bro. Mother Aya will come and she'll show you some love, man. It's gonna be an awesome time. Like it's the most loving, beautiful thing you've ever done.
What's up, Guerrilla Americans, and welcome to the Guerrilla America podcast. I'm your host, Tim Beecher, and today I have Billy Bufrd on the line. We talk about all sorts of stuff, fucking prostitutes, eating whales, Viking genetic experiments, partying internationally, eating mushrooms. Are they holy cows or prime rib? Who can tell? And sharding in one's pants. So we cover a lot of territory. I hope you guys enjoy this conversation as much as I did. So we're recording, man. Billy, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. So just to give the listeners a little bit of background on who you are, you're a truck driver, you're a meditator, you're a psychonaut. You kind of do a bunch of different stuff, man.
I shred the POW.
You shred the POW. We were just talking off air about how you were trying out this new snowboard today, doing the carving shit. How long have you been snowboarding?
So I started skiing when I was like 6, 7. Okay, now just a little backstory here. My dad was military, right?
Okay.
Met my mom while he was deployed. My sister was born in Germany while he was stationed over there. I was conceived in Germany, but I ended up popping out over here in Fort Knox, Kentucky.
Okay.
So meanwhile, while my parents were stationed in Germany, they would go skiing. They discovered skiing in the Alps. And then that's how my dad, being a redneck from Arkansas, and my mom being from South Korea, got into the skiing thing. You know what I mean? 'Cause it's kind of a rant. Because like when I tell people I'm from Kentucky, they're like, what do you mean? How are you a skier if you're from Kentucky? You know? So we would do
like, also, how are you?
Yeah. So like we would take ski trips every year. And it was just awesome, dude. It was like playing in the snow. So I'll never forget 1994, January 17th, 1994. I was 6 years old. It was like record-breaking snow in central Kentucky. Some places got over 25 inches. Like, it was like gnarly. Like, you can Google this.
I didn't know that Kentucky got that much snow.
It doesn't. That's why it was just so crazy. But me being 6 years old, I thought, well, it's Christmas time and this is dope. And I remember being like waist deep playing in snow. My dad like cussing because he's having to like shovel his car out. You know what I mean? It was wild.
Yeah.
But I mean, being, 6 years old and being able to play in that much snow was just like, that was gold. You know what I mean? So ever since then, like skiing and snowboarding, especially in deep powder, brings me back to that. Like brings me back to that first big snowstorm.
Being a playful kid.
Yeah, dude, playing in the snow when you're a kid, that was the best.
I feel like playing in the snow as an adult even is the best.
Unless you're a Cuban, and you're like my girlfriend, and she's scared of snow.
Sure.
But she grew up on a beach.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm trying to convince her to like, let's go skiing and try, let's try it. But she's just not interested in being anything under like 40 degrees. It's like anything under 40, she's just like not with it. Her body's just not accustomed to being cold.
Which makes sense. I mean, if you grew up I grew up in the mountains of Colorado for the majority of my childhood. So it feels natural to me to be cold. But
it's not an emergency if you're a little chilly.
No. But I think if I grew up in the tropics, it's like below 40 degrees, you're like, I'm gonna fucking die,
Right. So interesting. So I used to work in North Dakota for 4 years on a drone rig.
Okay.
So my first time, 2012, when I moved to North Dakota, the plan was to make $100,000, move to Denver, and just be a ski bum. Okay, that was my initial plan. Got out there. The first winter, I think it was like negative. The first time I felt negative 20. I was like, what is this? Like, this is crazy. Like, people are working outside in this. I remember seeing kids playing in negative 20 degrees and being like, where am I? Being from Kentucky, that's just not, that would be, like Child Protective Services would probably get called. You know what I mean? Anyway, so I had to learn how to dress, and I, learned how to layer up, and I learned how to, basically your body's just adapts. And after a few weeks of that type of environment, you just get used to it. You know what I mean? As long as there's no wind, dude, negative 20 is it's doable. Like, it's not bad at all as long as you dress properly.
Yeah, I mean, it's cold as hell. I've worked in 20 below before. I used to build houses for a living before getting into engineering, and it was, I mean, definitely cold, man. I mean, I know you're downplaying it a little bit. I mean, you can do it, but goddamn, it's like it's cold.
Yeah, it was pretty miserable, but they paid me enough just to keep coming back, man. You know, I think
Sure.
when it was good, it was like 7 G's every 2 weeks, and but
That's
it was
damn good.
but it was 16-hour days, bro. 14 to 16-hour days, including your drive time and everything. It was brutal. But I learned a lot of badass skills. Learned how to weld. Learned how to. Well, I got my CDL, heavy equipment. I just learned a lot of basic blue collar skills.
Yeah,
It's like
which not enough people have those skills these days.
right. Well, everyone wants to be a doctor or a lawyer, or they think you got to get into tech or something to make it. No one. But I mean, society wouldn't work if everyone did that. You know what I mean? Like we do need. Just like right now, we need truck drivers.
So we probably need more truck drivers than we need doctors.
Yeah. We might need more nurses though. A lot of them are quitting after the pandemic. They're just burned out. Like we burned. By the way, my girlfriend's a nurse, so that's kind of my glimpse into the world of nursing.
Okay.
There's a big news article right now about a nurse who accidentally gave her patient the wrong drug, and they charged her with like.
I was following this.
Yeah.
It was like not homicide, but it was like the
reckless
next
something. I mean, but she's looking from like 3 to 9 years in prison. I think that's the range.
Yeah.
So
And it was just a complete accident as far as I could tell.
Yeah. But like what's crazy to me is like if a doctor, so doctors have malpractice insurance, they have all this stuff that kind of protects their ass. Nurses are kind of, I guess they don't have that same type of protection. I'm not really sure. Because at the end of the day, the doctors aren't actually given the shot, right? It's the nurses. So like if the doctor says, give her this, if the nurse makes a mistake, which I get it, man, she fucked up. She gave him the wrong stuff, but complete accident,
Right.
Like for example, if you're texting and driving in your car and you kill someone, it's just an accident. There's no as of right now, there's no legal charges that, I mean, you can face civil suit, but the state won't say if you're texting and driving, you run someone over because you're not paying attention, they won't come after you. But if I'm in a semi,
That's not manslaughter.
I don't think so. I think as of right now, if you're texting and driving in your car and you cause an accident and there's a fatality, I don't think it's a criminal matter. It can be a civil matter, like this, like the you could face a lawsuit from the family or something.
Sure.
But this as of right now, I don't think that's a thing. But if you're in a semi truck, that's a whole nother ball game. Like if I'm texting and driving and kill someone, I'm going to prison for probably at least a few years.
Right.
Which is fair. I get that. You know what I mean?
I mean, it seems like it should kind of be that way regardless of whether you're driving a semi or not, just given the fact that you're like operating a vehicle that could kill somebody. And
it's one of the most dangerous things we do.
We do it casually while looking at our phone.
Yeah. We half the people don't even wear seatbelts. It's crazy. But pretty soon, I'm just waiting for AI to hurry and catch up and automated driving to catch up. And then we won't even have to deal with this anymore. Like once Elon figures this shit out and we can just autopilot everywhere, that'd be great.
What do you think about the conversation around how that's going to affect the truck driving community? Because I feel like that's one of the big kind of things against automated trucks in general is like, you're going to have this massive unemployed workforce.
Well, that's going to eventually, that's all going to catch up. Like more and more people will get laid off. The more like if the Tesla bot all of a sudden can just replace all dishwashers, those dishwasher jobs are gone, right?
Yep.
So but that's pretty long. Probably like, I mean, I don't know. What's your guess? But it's not going to be like overnight where jobs are just taken over by robots or automated driving vehicles. I think in the beginning, they'll still have to have an operator in there just in case, as a fail safe.
Well, that's the way that Teslas are currently. It's like, they're like, oh yeah, they're self-driving, but don't take your hands off the wheel.
Right. Like don't take a nap, but I've heard the Teslas are pretty good, like on the highways, but I don't know. Like I said, he's got to work out the kinks in the software.
Yeah, I'm guessing that there'll have to be infrastructure upgrades that will kind of allow for it, where it'll be like, okay, like all the lines are super well defined, and
different lanes for like automated driving versus the the old school drivers. Like like my grandpa would probably never succumb to buying an EV vehicle with automated driving. He's just too old school.
Right.
You know what I mean,
Yeah. And there's plenty of people that will be against that for a long time.
They'll just pay the extra tax to keep driving their gas guzzler.
Which, I mean, and there's also like range issues with those vehicles, which will probably go away over time as well. They'll have like battery replacement, stations or whatever.
Just pull in, swap the battery out in an hour and a half or whatever, and just keep on trucking for another couple of years. Every couple of years, you probably just got to renew the battery.
Yeah. Or, instead of having to charge the vehicle for 30 minutes, like you currently have to, you could probably just like swap a battery out and
then put it back on a charger.
Yeah.
Kind of like my power drills at home. You can just like take the battery, put one on, charge it, and then keep on working.
Yeah. Guessing something like that. So one of the things I wanted to get into with you is the trucker culture, because you and I had talked about this a little bit, and you were telling me that there's like this whole culture within the trucking world, and like,
well, it's kind of like so when you think of over the road truck drivers who drive across the country, that's kind of like a different demographic. That's a different type of person. Those guys are kind of like cowboys.
Okay,
they're just kind of. They don't want to have to conform to the corporate ladder, and they just want to be on their own and not have to deal with people. All they have to do is drive.
Sure.
Right. That's it. So it's pretty chill. It's pretty easy. And now with all the media, social, podcasts and stuff, it's not as bad as it used to be.
Right. You can consume interesting content while you're driving.
Yeah. Like years ago. So my dad was a truck driver for 30 years, owner operator. And so I would go over the road with him back when I was younger, and all he had was a CB radio. And they would just talk shit. Like truckers had their own like lingo, like their own language almost.
Interesting.
Like code words for everything. Like a bear would have been a police officer. Like a full grown, that's like a state trooper. Because they have that they wear that smoking the bear hat, they used to anyway. An alligator would be a blown out tire in the middle of the road, shit like that. So they would always, they had their own lingo, but that's starting to fall off now. Most people don't even use CB radios anymore because we all have phones, and it's weird to say, but like even truck drivers are not as connected as they used to be.
Weird.
Yeah. Cause I guess there's just more fun shit to listen to than, pissed off truck drivers talk shit on the CB radio, but as far as that type of driver versus a local driver, like for me, I could never do that over the road shit. I gotta be home, every night, or at least most of the nights. I can't live on the road. I don't personally want to do that.
I couldn't do that either.
Yeah,
I wouldn't want to.
It's hard to stay in shape. It's not good for you. Like, I don't know. I couldn't do that. So the, local truck drivers, those are the ones that usually aren't like obese. You know what I mean? The ones you see that are obese at truck stops, those are the guys that are just in their truck 14 hours a day, every day, just eating truck stop food.
Right.
And they're just losing their minds,
Yeah, no, this seems kind of like a brutal life, honestly. Unless you wanted to see the country or something, you do it for a temporary period of time.
So when my dad and mom split up when I was 7, he remarried. My mom remarried, but he remarried a woman that he met in CDL school.
Okay.
So then they drove team for 30 years. So like my stepmom and my dad would be in the truck driving. So that was their way of, doing it together. Okay. So anyway, yeah, so you can make it fun. Like my dad did it the right way because he had his partner with him, and they seemed to have, they did see a lot, but my dad's not real healthy. Staying healthy wasn't really important to him, which is why he's got all these health problems now, and he chain smokes cigarettes, and it's he kind of health and fitness now I think is it's more popular now than it was when like our parents were growing up.
Yeah,
like
health and fitness back then was just like
back then when you were 50, you were gone. Like you're just dead. You know what I mean? But now
it's like you're getting a beer belly no matter what.
Yeah, just accept it. But now it's like with all the technology and advancements and everything, it's like, dude, you can stay shredded and healthy. I ski with 80-year-olds. Like I meet these people. Like I meet 80-year-old people who are skiing still.
Yeah, and this is the same way in the rock climbing community. I know rock climber dudes that are like 75 and climb harder than I do. I'm like, what the? That's crazy. How do you do it?
You just got to keep it moving.
Yeah,
keep that heart beating. That's one of my rules in life. Every day, 30 minutes a day, you got to get that heart pumping for 30 minutes. Like just elevate your heart rate 30 minutes a day, no matter what.
That's a really good rule. Yeah.
Like, and it doesn't matter how you do it. Like if you want to jog, or if you want to do push-ups, or if you want to have sex, or you want to go snowboard, whatever it is, or if you want to do something really scary, that counts. Just get that thing pumping. That's kind of been my motto. And
that's a great motto. I love that.
Even if you have to, just do something that gets it going, man. That's it. It'll make you better.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not only health, but I feel like your mental health is so improved. Like if I had worked too hard and I'm just behind the computer screen for too long, like days on end, which happens to me sometimes, I come out of it being like, I'm depressed. I'm sad about everything.
Those are the over the road truck drivers. So people like me who drive mostly local, we're constantly every 10, 20, well, let's just say every 30 minutes, jumping out, like making deliveries. So it's like we're still moving. We're not just sitting down for 10 hours straight, pissing in, styrofoam cups and just keeping it rolling. Like we're not, those are the over the road guys. So that's why they're a little more like, if you find a psycho truck driver on the road, that's like an asshole that is trying to cut you off or whatever. Usually it's the over the road guys that are just losing their mind. You'll never see a day cab, what they call a day cab, because it doesn't have the bed and stuff in the back.
Okay.
Semi truck, those are the local trucks. Usually those guys are more chill. Then again, we get paid by the hour, so we don't really stress. We don't stress in traffic because we're getting paid by the hour. Over the road guys get paid by the mile, so they're fucking losing their shit if there's a traffic jam. Like if they're stuck on I-7, you can tell those over the road guys. A lot of times they'll just pull over and just park their truck and take a nap because by law you can't drive more than 11 hours. So if they're sitting, going 2 miles an hour in traffic, they're burning up their legal time. So that so they're screwed. So there's a lot more stress that goes on with the over the road job than the local jobs.
Yeah, makes sense.
But my theory on why there's such a shortage right now is I think a lot of them might have died during COVID.
Died during COVID?
I think maybe. I mean, I never looked this up. I'm just assuming a lot of the fat, obese truck drivers, if they got COVID, probably didn't handle it too well.
Interesting.
That's my guess.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess if you're traveling all the time, maybe there was more exposure and you're in an at-risk population. It makes plausible sense.
Well, there's definitely a lot of anti-vax too in that sense, because like I said, going back to the culture, those guys that kind of went rogue. Like like I said, they're the last cowboys of the frontier kind of people.
Right. Don't tell me what to do.
Yeah, don't tell me what to do. Fuck off. That's why I drive a truck. You see, so that the whole thing in Canada, with all the truckers being like, fuck that vaccine mandate, it's the same thing in Canada. Those are the ornery, just leave me alone, don't tell me what to do kind of people.
Yeah.
But we still need those people.
Oh, yeah.
We still need our shit delivered. Like it's,
I mean, what do you think about those protests? I mean, do you think they were valid or?
Well, it's pretty wild to think you could get everyone to actually on board with something like that. I've always heard, if all the truckers went on strike, the country would just stop. Like everything would be screwed up, and there would be no, like, all the logistic problems that would be caused of it would be probably less than 5 days. Grocery stores would, lose food. You wouldn't have supplies, gasoline. I mean, everything's hauled on a truck. So society would really hurt if every truck driver just went on strike. And that's all. Truck drivers have always known this, but prior to the internet, it was like, how do you even get something like this started? But I think COVID was such a big deal, and people were so passionate about it one way or another that they actually ended up getting, banding together in Canada and saying fuck this and park their truck. Which, I mean, personally, I'm not for a vaccine mandate. That's not really my opinion. If you want to take a chance and just catch it the old fashioned way, more power to you. That's neither here nor there.
Yeah, I'm not really into mandates of any kind generally,
especially something this new.
Yeah.
I
mean, when it comes to your body too, it's kind of like,
if we're talking about like polio or measles or mumps or whatever, like the vaccines that have been around for, I don't know, half a century, we got some more data on those. Old school vaccines. That might be a little different, but there's still no mandate that says your kid has to get that but you probably won't let them. They probably won't allow them to go to public schools though.
Yeah, they won't. I think that's where people come into the argument with the current vaccine. They're like, well, like you essentially have to have this vaccine to participate in the rest of society.
Well, public school. You can still go to private school.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah. But the vaccine mandate thing, people were losing their jobs. There was no like option for them. Like you either get shot or you get canned. So that's a little different.
Yeah, it's a lot different. Yeah. I mean, I personally had, coworkers and friends that lost their job because they decided not to get it. And
it's wild, dude.
Yeah.
It's wild. Some people had to leave the military, and it's just wild. But then again, man, I mean, something this new, and I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. I don't want to talk about COVID. COVID's been, it's like
overdone.
Yeah, I just kind of want to get over it. I've had COVID already. Luckily, it wasn't too bad. So
yeah, I've had it also.
I got my taste back, thank God, because I'm a fucking, I'm a foodie. I like to eat. So.
Yeah, that would really suck. Yeah, I just thought it was interesting that there's this population of people, and honestly, I think that the society doesn't really like recognize the number of people who are truckers. Right? It's like the backbone of civilization in a lot of ways, the way that you were describing it.
It's hauled in on a truck, man. So trains do most of the heavy lifting, but from there, it's got to get hauled in, into the urban areas and everywhere on a truck.
Right.
Big and small, whatever. It's still on a truck. Like I just got gravel delivered for my driveway yesterday, and I had to get on a truck. Like, how else are you going to get that much gravel delivered to you?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like everything. Just like, I mean, everything.
You're right. Yeah. So most of because I thought that the trains had sort of taken a back seat in a lot of ways. I mean, there's a lot of heavy industrial stuff that's carried by trains, but isn't like the majority of food carried by trucks?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So food for sure, because I don't think they have refrigerated train cars, but they might though. Actually, I don't know. That's something I would have to Google real quick. But yeah, so for example, food, those vans are all refrigerators.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then, but I'm not actually sure what all they use trains for. Maybe like coal and,
Yeah, it seems like heavy industrial products.
Yeah, petroleum maybe, but nonetheless, stuff that we still need.
100%.
Yeah. But like, for example, once the oil gets to the refinery, from there, it needs to get hauled in on a truck to the gas station.
Yeah.
So
besides that, you shred. You said that's the most important thing to you.
Shout out to Donick Snowboards. They had a demo up at Copper Mountain. They're going to be there from April 1st to April 7th. I got to meet their team rider, Ryan Napton. Met him for the first time today. He was a real cool dude.
Nice.
Super, super, super laid back culture, man. The snowboarding culture, and skiing too. I'm not hating on skiing. Like, okay, so back up. I used to ski when I was 6, right? I skied up until I was 14 and then switched to snowboarding.
Okay.
So that was I was 14. What was that, like 2002? 2001.
Okay.
2001 is when I started snowboarding. But I never really got real good until I moved out here and was like, now I can go every week instead of just going a couple times a year. Like
yeah.
Growing up, it was just a few times a year, ski trips,
Takes that frequency.
Yeah. So I never really progressed as quickly as I did once I finally moved out here. And it's like, a couple years out here and you're just like,
God, savage.
Yeah, well, you see the kids that are from here and they're like kicking backflips at the age of 12. Like they're sending it so crazy but it's just normal to them because they're up there every day. It's awesome.
Yeah,
I'm so jealous.
And I feel like every sport has gotten way crazier over time. It's like once somebody does something, it's like people just figure out how to do it all of a sudden.
Right. It's like you just keep raising that bar.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, if that's the bar, well, how do I get above that? It's just we're constantly trying to outdo each other. I mean, it's just in our human nature,
Yeah. I grew up in Colorado and skied every weekend. And I mean, the things that I see the kids doing, I'm like, that's insane. It's like,
right.
Yeah.
I'm so jealous you grew up here, man. This place is awesome. There's a reason why everyone's moving here.
Yeah.
Because it's awesome.
It is.
I mean, just the lack of mosquitoes, man. Like that alone should be
totally the lack of bugs. I lived on the East Coast and it's like you don't appreciate
the humidity. Like you can't stay dry. Like you just constantly sweat.
Yeah, and the mosquitoes will eat you alive.
It's insane. Like going from somewhere like Kentucky and then moving here. But I've been, I've got family in New York City, which is also swampy in the summer. But my dad lives in Florida, probably the worst. It's like a sauna everywhere you walk. It's like a steam room, I mean,
at least you got the ocean there.
Well, that's true. The ocean's definitely, it's a vibe for sure. The beach vibe and the mountain vibe are very similar.
Yeah, it's like chill.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
we want to get high and we want to have a good time.
Yeah. Well, it's like the saying goes, when you retire, it's either a beach or a mountain. Like you don't want to move to a city.
No,
Like,
nobody
no one
wants
retires to New York City. Like
No.
you want to go somewhere where you can feel nature's energy, whether it's snow, whitewater rafting, or the ocean. It's peaceful.
You've probably wisened up by then, even if you were a New York Cityite when you were a kid.
Yeah, the hustle and bustle, that shit'll drain you out, man. All the noise, the constant grind, and just oof.
The constant stimulus is not good for people.
No, you got to disconnect.
Yeah. So you and I met at the float center in Samana.
Yeah, with my mom and my girlfriend.
Yeah, I love that place.
That was both their first time.
Their first time. But you
floating. Yeah, I've done it. I've done it a few times.
Yeah. And so I'm guessing you're also a meditator and are into that sort of thing.
I mean, I try, not real big into like meditating, but I try, so like
I think we all try. It's like, that's what meditating is.
Yeah, I try. So like, I've been doing like mushrooms pretty much my whole life, like since high school. Okay. And my mom will never touch any drug. She's just too conservative. Like being from South Korea.
Right. It's not part of the culture.
I've tried to get her to like hit a joint, and it's just not going to happen. Or eat a gummy, like a gummy, THC gummy.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. So I was like, the only closest thing I think I could think of was the float tank, the sensory deprivation tank.
Yeah.
That's the closest thing that you can get to a psychedelic experience, but being sober.
Sure.
Like, unless you are like a trained yogi who knows how to, like, you're not going to establish that sense of disconnect by, but yogis can. I mean, yogi can sit down in one pose and just stay there for like days. Like some can do that. Like it's gnarly.
Oh yeah. It definitely induce hallucinogenic states.
Yes,
100%.
100%. Unfortunately, it took the float tank for me to experience that, like sober / holy shit, I'm starting to like trip kind of,
right.
You know what I mean? But it's way easier just to eat a bunch of mushrooms,
Definitely way easier, no doubt about that.
Get to that, yeah. But shout out to Denver for decriminalizing psychedelic mushrooms.
Yeah, it's a step in the right direction.
Yeah, and they're doing a lot of good. A lot of studies are coming out that are promising with like help with PTSD and mental illness. And did you see that documentary, Fantastic Fungi?
Yeah, I did. I love that.
That was wild, man. Learning about how like all the fungus under the ground are all interconnected. Like the trees can communicate with their kin.
Oh yeah.
Trees. Like just crazy.
It's like via the mycelial networks. Yeah.
It's just crazy. It's so crazy. But every time I eat mushrooms,
they're 100% intelligent.
Dude, there's something going on. Well, that was the very first, they said, land organism. I think that was what they said, right?
I don't recall that fact, but it sounds like a plausible thing. But
it's up there with moss and bacteria and stuff. I'm not sure. I don't know if bacteria was counted as I can't remember. I had to remember. But there's definitely something going on when you eat mushrooms, man. You feel like you're learning something, but you can't put it into words.
Yeah.
Like
you can try.
Yeah, you can try, but like some things you just can't put into words. It's just kind of like the knowledge it just comes into you.
Right.
Good luck trying to explain it. Especially to explain to someone who's never done a psychedelic before. It's like you can't really. You just start sounding like a crazy person. You know what I mean?
Right. Totally.
My whole life, for example, so I've got there's 6 of us total siblings. Okay. I'm somewhere in the middle. Most of my brothers and sisters were very conservative. They did the right thing. Studied real hard, went to college, never smoked pot, never did drug. Because they thought it killed your brain. Which for the longest time that's what we were told.
Yeah.
But I was always kind of like the long-haired hippie skateboarder who smoked pot, and did mushrooms. But I was always a good kid, always made straight A's, and, I did the right thing, quote unquote, right thing.
You just also like to get high. I can relate to that. That's how it was.
Yeah, I like to, like when I was little, I would spin around in the yard and just get dizzy, and I would just do that for hours. My parents would be like, something's wrong with Billy. What's he doing? Like, that was my first drug, just getting dizzy. I thought it was the wildest shit, man. Like, dude, this is wild, And meanwhile, my dad smokes cigarettes and drinks Bud Light, And I'm like, dude, of course, I'm not allowed to have that because I'm a kid, So
right.
the next best thing was
just try to spin it around, Dad.
Dizzy, bro. Yeah, just get dizzy. It's the same thing. I remember when Dare, like the sheriff, remember how they used to have those Dare programs?
Yeah.
Like, I remember when they came in and were explaining all these drugs to us. And I think we were in like 3rd grade or something. And they're showing all these slides, and you know, they're saying like, this is a bong, and this is for smoking marijuana, and then they would show you all this stuff. They would explain the side effects. They're like, it'll make you dizzy, it'll make you feel weird, and disconnect. And I just remember thinking like, that sounds kind of cool though.
That sounds hype.
Yeah, it like backfired with me. Like the whole DARE program for me kind of sparked my curiosity with changing my consciousness. It was like, But thankfully, pot doesn't kill your brain cells, because I probably, wouldn't have finished high school if it did.
Yeah, no, that's a big thank you to the happenstance of chance from me as well.
Yeah, shout out to Colorado, the first state to go full rec.
Yeah,
back in, was it 2013?
I think it was. Yeah.
So that's
I actually wasn't living here when that occurred, but
that was wild, man.
Yeah,
I should have. Well, shoulda, woulda, coulda.
Gotten involved in.
Well, I should have bought my house then when I had the chance, but I said I'll just wait till I get done with North Dakota. And by the time I left North Dakota, fast forward to 2016, it was like, oh my God, houses now are like literally double from when I was looking 3 years ago.
Yeah.
But I was just working so much. I was just exhausted, man, just burned out, man. Like that first year in North Dakota, I went a year and a half working, a year and a half straight. Didn't even like kiss a girl in a year and a half, right? Like I was starting to lose my mind.
Yeah.
But I remember, I'll never forget holding my first $100,000 in cash. I went to the bank and told them to like withdraw that money. I want to see it. And they were like, what do you need this money for in cash, sir? And they kept asking me. And I was like, I just want to make sure you got it. I was pissed. I was really pissed about the fact that unless you sign I forgot the form. It's called like death. It's like some type of death release. So like if you open up a bank account and you're not married.
Yeah.
If you die, the state takes over your money until someone like your mom shows up and goes to court to go through a process to prove that, hey, here's the death certificate, here's this.
Sure.
It's a process. I thought that was kind of fucked up because first of all, I never made a whole lot of money before I went to North Dakota. Okay? Right. I was always just like broke. So when I went to North Dakota and started making all this money, but it was like real dangerous work. When someone told me about this, I was like kind of pissed. I was like, what do you mean the state takes over my money? My mom's not going to fly to North Dakota and be like, where's my son's money? You know what I mean? She's just going to be, terrified if she had to bury me. Like, so all my money would it would just be gone. So that's when I went ahead and got the will, went to the bank. There's a form you can ask for that basically, it's like basically a beneficiary. It's like, here's my mom's name. Here's her social security number, her phone number. If I die, that's hers. So I remember going to the bank, and so they knew me already because I was pissed about that after, I had the conversation with the lady, and it was a small bank, Williston, North Dakota bank. Anyway, but I'll never forget withdrawing that first $100,000 and holding that much cash in my hands. It was just like, it was like almost kind of erotic.
You're like, fuck yeah, I want to put this on a bed and lay on it.
I was taking selfies with it and shit. And anyways, but it was kind of fucked up because like I broke all the bands. You know how they like wrap them in $10,000 stacks? I broke all the bands and was like spread it out and waving it. And then I told the lady, go ahead and put it back. And she was like, are you like, really? Like once she realized like that's all I wanted to do, because then they had to recount it. 2 people had to count the money, like initial it, and then put it back in the vault. Right. So it was a process. Like they were, but at first they were really like, sir, you need to tell us why you need this much money in cash. Like, why do you need this much? And I was like, why do I have to give you a reason?
Yeah.
She was like, well, we're afraid that there might be something like illegal going on. Like, does someone have someone hostage? Like, you need to let us know. Like, because most people don't ask for this much cash.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, generally, you don't want to have that much cash on you.
Yeah. Take a certified check. What are you doing? So, but once they realized that's all I was doing. But I would go in there every few months, man, just to smell the money, man. Just because, dude, I mean, it was hats off to the guys in the oil patch, the oil field. That is the male version of selling your body.
Oh yeah. You're just like whoring your holes out.
Dude, you're wearing yourself out, man. I almost lost my right hand on when I was drilling. I broke my
What exactly were you doing on the wheel rigs?
Okay, so I did several different things. The first job I had, remember, when I went to North Dakota, I had zero blue collar skills. Right? Okay. I went to college for human nutrition. I was pre-med. Okay. So once I graduated, 2 of my best friends died on motorcycles my senior year. So I took a gap year, went to Korea, lived there for a few years, fell in love with just partying. Okay. Okay. Came back and was like, I don't want to go back to school. I just want to work and like shred. Like I just want to snowboard. I miss snowboarding because I didn't ski much when I was in Korea, which is sad because Japan was right there, and Japan has the best snow in the world. Anyway, so the first job I got when I was in North Dakota. Now remember, I just showed up, dude. I packed up my truck, showed up. I was homeless. I had like there was no like North Dakota, Williston, North Dakota in 2012 was the most expensive place. Had the most expensive rent in the United States. It had surpassed Manhattan because of the oil boom.
Damn.
Yeah. So
I've heard crazy stories about how they were just like trying to erect buildings but couldn't fast enough.
It's insane, bro. People were sleeping. You'd go into like a Walmart and people would be like sleeping in the like in the clothes racks and shit. Like it was just wild. There was nowhere to go, man. And the most brutal winter. So I showed up at like the worst times. I showed up like in the middle of the winter. But luckily I have a Tacoma and it just runs like a top. So I would just sleep in that, let it idle, blow the heater, you know, it was good. So the first job I ended up getting was well, I bounced around with this job agency, but I kept trying to find an oil field job because I wanted like to make the real money.
Yeah.
You know? But with no experience, people were kind of like, But luckily I qualified for this program that so my dad's part Native American as well.
Okay.
So because of that, I qualified for this program where I got my CDL for free. So once I got my CDL, but they put me through like a 2-week course. Once I got my CDL, then I got hired on to do a frack water heating. So I drove this huge truck that basically heated water in the winter for fracking.
Okay.
So that was my first job. And then from there, it was just like, how much more can I make? The first job I had was $72,000 salary. That first one I got, which at first I was like, wow, this is really good money. You know, this is more money than I ever made.
Yeah, it's a good starting salary for anybody. Hell yeah.
Yeah. Especially back, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And that was literally right after the 08 crash and this recession, so it was, a lot of people were hurting. So that was my first job. And then after that, I started doing casing. So casing is basically, it's basically when you cement around the pipe, I guess the pilot hole that ends up being drilled into. Okay. So I did that. And we also did what's called rat hole drilling. So
okay.
it's basically like drilling the pilot hole for the big drillers to come in and start punching holes that are like miles down.
Okay.
So I did that for a few years. And then once the oil crashed again back in January 2015, oil went from like $100 a barrel to like $40 a barrel overnight. OPEC was playing, they're playing Monopoly, right? So I don't really know all the politics in it, but the oil tanked. Oil price tanked. So everything got stacked out. And that's when I started hauling crude oil. I jumped back into a semi and was hauling crude oil. I did that for about a year, and then I actually broke my my right ankle while I was jumping out of my truck. I know it's kind of stupid, but I jumped out of my truck and my foot landed on this big rock and it snapped my leg. It snapped my ankle. So that was so I sat on my ass and drew unemployment. Winter was coming. This was by the time I got the cast off and everything, it was December 2016.
Okay.
And December 2015. So it was almost 2016. So remember, the oil crashed in January, and I am in December, and the oil prices hadn't come back up. And at this point, I wasn't making a whole lot of money. Like I was, it wasn't the money that I used to make.
Right. Yeah. Not maybe worth living in that
it wasn't
part of the
worth
world.
It. Yeah, it wasn't worth it. So that was it for me. After that, after losing my mobility, I was like, dude, I got to get the fuck out of here. I have enough money. It's time to go to Colorado. So that's when I took I traveled for a few months around the world, did a bunch of crazy shit, got tatted up, went wild. Eventually still made it out here, and I got out here in mid 2016 and been here ever since.
What's some of the craziest shit you did while you were traveling?
Man, dude, I don't even know where to start with that one. So
you said you were into partying. What does that mean to you? Like taking a bunch of Molly and going to raves and shit, or
yeah, I mean, I've done all that. Traveling, Bangkok was probably the most like holy shit.
Bangkok's a wild town, man.
Yeah, talk about culture shock. Like that first night, flying into Bangkok, taking a cab to Khao San Road, and walking to a hostel, like just walking down Khao San Road in the middle of the night when I first showed up was just insane. Like there's just too much going on. Like there were drunk like expats and there were lady boys running around. It was just wild, dude. And people are eating scorpions and shit. It was just a wild place. And it's just ping pong shows, if you know what that is. I mean,
I do, yeah.
Crazy stuff, like stuff you don't see in the United States, you know. And
no,
but man, what a good time. But a lot of the stuff in Bangkok kind of stays in Bangkok. There's a reason why they call that place Bangkok. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You'll get fooled. But, you know what I'm saying? I'll just leave it at that. I don't want to say anything much on air, but
lady boys. I'll translate.
Oh, dude, I saw a group of 5 lady boys come after one of my Canadian buddies that I'd met, and they tried robbing him. And rule number 1, traveling abroad, especially in seedy areas, always wear sneakers laced up, bro. Because if you got to run, you got to be able to fucking run.
Right.
Yeah. And so like one of the schemes over there is they get, lady boys, they look like women, but they're dudes. Okay.
Yeah.
So like you get 4 of those coming after you. You like, even if subconsciously you can't close hand fist punch someone that looks like a girl, like it's against it. So like they end up, like
effectively robbing you,
and you're just like, oh my God, what happened? And then what do you do? And the cop's just like, whatever, dude, you're a white dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Rule number 1, if you go, like for me, remember I'm half Korean, so I kind of, as long as I don't talk, like I kind of fit in. You know what I mean? Like if I build my face tan and shit, like I can pass for a fucking a Thai dude. You know?
Sure.
Plus I'm kind of jacked, so people kind of they give me some space. but yeah, that's rule number 1. I always tell people if they do, especially like you're a white dude, you're a target. So just it can happen. That's all I want to say.
Oh, 100%. I've lived internationally and had multiple knives pulled on me, but
yeah,
I was carried.
Yeah, if it's nighttime, don't wear flip-flops. That's all I'm going to say, because you might have to book it.
Or be ready to fight.
Well, the problem with that is if the cops show up and you're white and the other dude's Thai, like who do you think's going to get in trouble?
Yeah, I mean, most likely the foreign dude.
Yeah, the foreign dude's getting the short end of the stick, bro.
Yeah.
100%. It's 100%. So it's
in Thailand, especially, probably.
You just run. Just run. Like, even if you know you can take them, if they're locals, just run. If it's 2 foreigners, that's a whole nother thing. Like, cops don't give a shit about that. Two white dudes beating each other up in fucking Thailand's like, I don't even think that's a crime. But if you punch a Thai dude in the face, and cops show up,
Probably not good.
Good luck.
Yeah. They don't screw around with it. It's weird because they are sort of lawless in some ways, and ways that we're super strict in the U.S., and then other ways they're super strict, like with drug laws.
Oh yeah,
it's like you'll go to prison for life if you like have drugs and stuff.
That's actually a thing. You can go to their prison there and like talk to all the foreigners and shit, like who got caught with stuff. Like
really,
you can go visit them. Yeah, it's like a thing. It's like a tourist thing. Like you jump on a bus, they take you to the prison. They're like, here, you can meet all the foreigners that are locked up for 20 years, and you're like, damn, this is wild, dude.
They're like, we have figured out how to convert everything into a tourist trap.
Well, okay. Rule number 1: if you do get caught with some stupid shit abroad, if you can pay the cop off, pay the cop off.
Do it 100%.
Because once you're in the system, good luck. That once, like what do you think the American embassy is going to be able to get you out and pull strings? Nah, dude. Rule number 1: when you travel to another country, do some research and figure out what the laws are there, and you got to respect that. So, like when you go, for me, for example, every time I go somewhere new, I don't take any of my Western beliefs with me, right? Like I try to understand, like, what is it about this place that I can learn something from, and don't go in there thinking like, just, like for example, marijuana over here is completely chill, but in some places, it's like they treat it like crack,
right?
Or heroin, so you just
have an ounce of weed on you, you're going to prison.
That's what I'm saying, dude. So you can't just be a stupid American traveler. Like do some research and respect their culture too, man. Like something I always do when I travel. Usually when I travel solo, I love traveling solo and just meeting people. I usually try to find a cool cab driver and then just hang out with him for 24 hours. Like if possible. Like I'll pay him just to like, dude, just show me how you live. And I've had some really good, I've got to really see, for example, in Cambodia, my tuk-tuk driver, he had this like little moped. Real cool dude. I like hung out with him and his friends. We ate snake. And he took us to this beer garden that was like completely a local spot. Like there was no tourists there, and I met his family, and it was just real humbling. Like to see that side of the real,
oh yeah,
of a country, that's
definitely the way to do it.
Because if you think about it, cab drivers are the realest. That's like the realest person You know, like they know where they all know where all the brothels are. They know where the drugs are at. Like they know they're the real people.
They're plugged in.
They're plugged in. Yeah, like they're yeah. So and usually they can speak pretty good English, generally speaking.
Yeah,
that's their livelihood. So that's my life hack for traveling is just find a cool cab driver and just like spend one day with him. You know,
hanging out with the locals in general is definitely the way to do traveling, in my opinion. I mean,
yeah, if you just hang out with like in the hostel the whole time and just party, you didn't really see much. You know, like you didn't really get a good sense of the culture there. Like if you go to Thailand and don't go to any temples, like you missed out on some shit. Like if all you did was go to Soy Cowboy and watch ping pong shows, like I guess if you're in your early 20s, that's kind of the only reason to go is just to fuck and party. But like once you get older, you kind of want to see some.
I did not see a ping pong show, man. I was not interested in that. I'm like, I mean, as horny as it gets, and I was like, dude, I don't need to see that particular thing.
I saw a girl shooting darts out of her vagina from across the room and taking out balloons that were hung up in the corner of the bar, and she was popping these balloons, dude. Like you can't make this shit up, bro.
That's impressive,
dude. Super impressive, and it's like it's crazy to think that that's her job.
Yeah,
like her job is to entertain us stupid foreigners by like blowing air darts out of her vagina on stage, like wild shit, man. Like for people who don't know what a ping pong show is, it's a thing. The reason they call it a ping pong show is because they shoot ping pongs out of the vagina, and you get a paddle when
apparently not only ping pongs though.
No. Well, so the ping pong is the main attraction because like everyone gets a ping pong paddle. So like you're just like pre-gaming. It's like 7:30. You're pre-gaming, drinking some beers with your boys, and like there'll be girls on stage blasting literally ping pongs out of their vagina, and across the room, and you have to like hit them back. Like that's like.
That's hilarious. I didn't know that there was a whole hit it back phenomenon.
Yeah, that's what a ping pong show is. And then, but like they also do other things. Like they can smoke cigars with their vagina and blow like smoke rings and shit. She put a mark, dude. I swear to God, she put a marker in her vagina. She told one of the guys to come on stage and draw something and like hung it up, and she drew it with her vagina, and it looked pretty good. Like it was wild. Like it's an art form. It's not just. I mean, it's a little degrading, obviously, if you really want to think about it, but it's honest work.
Hey, man.
I mean, and I mean,
I'm not here to judge. That's for damn sure.
Judge, man, but I didn't need to go to many more ping pong shows after that. I was like, I think I got a good taste of what this is. It's cool, but
now I feel like I missed out because I was like, this is some highly skilled shit. I mean, I figured it was just like some ping pongs getting pushed into vaginas or something. I was like, I don't know. That's not really my thing,
It was impressive, to say the least. Because you'll never see some shit like that in the U.S., ever.
And I mean, not to mention, if somebody has that much control over their vagina, I mean, sex with that person has to be kind of off the hook.
The best. I mean, I've said this once, and I'll say it again. The best sex I've ever had was from professional prostitutes. Like straight up. Like, why do you think all rich and famous people hire porn stars? Because they're the best. I mean, it's like, that's what they do. That's their job. They do that 40 hours plus a week. You know what I mean? Like they're putting in work. Right. God bless them. You know what I mean? But I feel like when I talk about, for example, I've been to the brothel where Justin Bieber got caught in Rio de Janeiro called Centuris.
Okay.
You can Google this. Now, think of the quality here. We're talking about the Biebs here. Okay. This is like way back. This is probably like 10 years ago or something when he went there. He's
like, I've got cash. Where am I going to spend it?
The whole place out. Dude, I swear to God, the women in this place, they're so beautiful that it'll make you want to cry. Like they're that beautiful, and there's like 50 of them all in lingerie, just walking around. And it's like there's a restaurant, a bar, there's a spa. Meanwhile, like I showed up and I met a couple guys from New York that spoke Portuguese, and they're like, "Dude, we got to take you to this place. This is where the Biebs went." No. So, anyways, I don't want to like keep. Basically, all I'm saying is,
no, let's get in there, dude.
When people in the United States think about prostitution, you think about like some seedy streetwalker on Colfax who's probably HIV positive. Okay, that is not the way it is in other countries. In other countries, it's regulated, it's tested, it's safe. Women have the choice to say no. Like if you're like a real fat, ugly dude, they can mark the price up. Like they're kind of a free agent.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? The house takes a cut, but they're technically, they can say yay or nay. And sure. I've only had one woman say no to me. Because I like to think I'm a pretty decent looking dude.
Yeah.
But the only reason she said no is because she wasn't into girls, and I wanted to have a threesome. And she was like, "That's not. I don't do those." But she was like, "But my friend does," and I was like, "Okay, that'll work." This is actually in Brazil. It was not at Centura's, but anyway, I've been to a lot of brothels, man. But I'm not embarrassed to say it because I'm kind of a connoisseur.
I mean, there's nothing embarrassing about it, in my opinion. I mean, I think, it goes on everywhere and people don't want to talk about it. They're like, oh, it's like sex work. It's like the lowest of the low. It's like, no, actually, it's the oldest profession. And
well, we'll put it this way. I've always been to I've always went to higher end brothels and establishments that were legal. And it's never been a bad experience for me. It's always been a great time, especially when you're a young, good looking dude and they're like, wow, like this guy's paying me to get his rocks off. Like, what an honor. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but that's the vibe.
Yeah.
It's like a famous person once said, a good prostitute makes you forget that she's a prostitute.
I mean, that's probably the best. Yeah.
Like if the chick, if the chick's just like got her eyes closed and it's just like, hurry up. Like that's not the vibe, which by the way, Amsterdam, that's the vibe in Amsterdam. The red light district is complete shit because it's such a huge tourist trap, and that's why everyone goes there just to get high and fuck on the red light. Mm-hmm. The worst. Actually, I got my passport stolen at the red light district while I was with a girl in the red light district.
Oh shit, that's not good.
And I missed my flight, and it was a whole ordeal. But we don't have to get into that. But yeah, so when you ask me, by the way, for the record, I've been to 42 countries. If you ask me what's the craziest shit, I can't really.
You're like hard to differentiate.
It's a hard one. South Korea, obviously I'm partial to South Korea because I'm half Korean, but if I didn't count that, I would say Iceland was probably the wildest place as far as just the scene, the party scene, the demographics, the country itself is just so beautiful. There's so much crazy shit like waterfalls and geysers, and they got black volcanic sand beaches with like icebergs and shit. Like it's fucking wild, man.
This is South Korea, you said?
No, Iceland.
Iceland, sorry.
Yeah, so I'm picking one place that out of all the 40 plus countries I've been to, and if I had to pick one that was really like just awe-inspiring and just so much fun, I personally had that much fun in Iceland, man. The culture there is really cool.
Yeah, that place is definitely on my list. I haven't been yet, but it seems amazing.
They're really open-minded there. It's the most feminist country in the world. Basically, men and women are really equal there. Like when I was there, a girl bought me a drink, and I was like, "What? This is a setup." You know what I mean? Like I'm about to get fucking robbed, bro. Like, what did you put in this? Like, girls don't buy guys drinks where I'm from. What the fuck's going on? And the guys were like, "No. Like this, it's okay here, man. Everyone's equal." And it's like, girls fuck on the first date, and then they decide if they want to date. Or you see what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Sex for them, they think it's wild that the Western culture is basically like, let's date for a long time and get our hearts involved, and then have sex, because they think, what if the sex is terrible?
I mean, I'm on board with that mentality, dude. That's the way I used to operate 100%. I was like,
yeah, like there is no slut shaming in Iceland. It's not a thing. And I really wanted to know what the fuck was going on, like why this is happening. So obviously I dug into this, and I went all the way back to learning about the history of Iceland. I don't know if you knew how that place was kind of started, but the Vikings went around and just pillaged Europe.
Yep.
He kidnapped all the hottest girls they could find. Okay. And they dumped them off in Iceland, was like, here's your new home. And they started making babies. Now, fast forward. Oh, God, this was in the year like 800 or 900. Like, this is real. Okay.
Okay.
It's very sad, but I just got to give you the backbone story here. Some of the most beautiful women I've ever seen are in Iceland. It's nuts. Now, remember, the whole country's only got 300,000 people. So we're talking a very super small country. So the genetics have been pretty much the same since.
It's like a Viking genetic experiment.
Well, I mean, dude, I'll go ahead and say this. When I was in the locker room there, because I'm a bro, I go to gyms and I glance at dudes' dicks, those were the biggest, just beefiest dudes. Like they're all like 6'4" plus, blue eyes, and massive dicks. Like I was in there with at least 40 dudes, and every single one of them was like, they were solid.
Like human specimens.
Yeah, like without sounding gay. Like, yeah, it was ridiculous, man. But let's go back to why women are so open-minded. Well, around the year 1700, so not that long ago, they almost completely died because of famine and the harsh environment there. And the king at the time was basically like, "Hey, we don't care if you're married. We just need you guys to start making babies. Like, for the love of God, if you love your country, start having babies." So for some reason, it's carried over on into this, being it's almost like being patriotic is by
pumping out some babies.
Sex. And I'm not making this up, man. Like, it's just the norm there. Now, I will go ahead and say this. Reykjavik is the capital of Iceland. Iceland is extremely expensive. even the locals can maybe only go out once a month because they got to save up their money to go to Reykjavik to fucking throw down. There's only like 5 bars and a couple clubs. Like it's so when they show up on a Friday night, the people that you meet, the locals, they are there to fucking send it. They're not there to just kind of dabble and have a girls' night out and talk shit about their whatever. Like they're there to fucking throw down. Okay, it's just a different energy. Okay. I know I'm really building up Iceland right now, but it's like it's fucking lit. Like,
I mean, these are things I didn't know about Iceland. It's making me want to go more. So
yeah, it's dope. Yeah, it's a dope place. Just leave it at that.
Okay.
Yeah. Whew, we got off topic here, man.
I think we're on topic. This is exactly how I wanted this to go. We're getting in there. Have you been to Ibiza?
Dude, I have not. It's super expensive. Okay, yeah. So those two guys from New York that I went to Centauros with.
Yeah.
They were talking up Ibiza like it was like you have to go. You got to send it. And he said when you do go, just take a bunch of ecstasy with you. That way you've got the party. You know what I mean? It's like you could just, because I mean, let's be honest. People who are going to Ibiza, they're trying to party and roll. Like that's you kind of have to roll to listen to that kind of music, you know. But I never had a chance to go. It was really expensive. I'm real cheap with my money, so I like to like go to cheaper places to party, like the Full Moon Party, for example, in Thailand.
Yeah,
the Koh Phangan. That's I don't know. Do you know about the Full Moon Party?
I've heard about it. Yeah, I haven't been though.
Party every full moon there. It's just maddening, man. It's just like crazy fire ropes, and they got some stuff set up. It's just a huge beach rave. You know, that's
How do they do the drugs down there? Because like, when I was there, it wasn't really for that purpose, and so it seems like, you know, in a place where everyone's going to prison for life or getting executed for having drugs, then it'd be like pretty hard to get your hands on them.
Yeah, it depends on what drugs you're talking about. So there's this stuff called. So by the way, Red Bull was first created in Thailand, and then Austria ended up buying it. So the original Red Bull had amphetamines in it. Okay, a lot of people don't know this. So obviously, amphetamines, they call it yaba. It's meth in Thailand. If you call it yaba, like you're going to fucking prison. But the government makes this shit in these little glass bottles called M80. I think it's called an M80. It's this little yellow fucking bottle.
It will make you explode inside.
That is the original Red Bull formula with amphetamine in it. So you drink 1 or 2 of these and you're wired, bro. Like it's fucking nuts. So it's kind of contradicting. Like if you get caught with the real deal, you go to prison, but the government will sell you their regulated yaba over the counter, like at a fucking convenience store.
Okay.
But it's a performance enhancing drug. Let's be honest. You know what I mean? It's kind of like Adderall, but some other drugs are over the counter, like steroids are over the counter, or at a pharmacy, they're over the counter without a prescription. So a lot of guys buy their juice there and they mail it back. A lot of guys go there just to like get beefed up on steroids because it's legal. Valium's over the counter, but like pain pills are not. Like you can't get pain pills. A lot of Asian countries don't even have opioids. I think like Tramadol is the strongest painkiller you can get unless you're in a hospital. Then they have morphine, but like they're not going to prescribe you.
They're like,
oxys.
Are you insane?
Yeah. Like that. So yeah, that's a thing in America where you can actually get like heroin prescribed to you, like in a pill form, which is pretty fucking wild.
Right. Like oxys and stuff that people are, I mean, it's like, that's heroin.
Yeah. If you can smoke that pill and you feel like you're on heroin, like that's fucking heroin, man. Like who are you kidding? You know, and fentanyl, the same thing. Like,
oh, fentanyl is like way more intense too. And
but it has its place in the medical field.
Oh yeah.
Like, it's great.
Surgery.
Yeah. Surgery. Yeah. It has its place, but if you abuse it, you know, good luck.
Yeah, you're fucked pretty much.
Fucked. But yeah, as far as the drugs, when I was at the Full Moon Party, they have mushrooms, like mushroom tea, mushroom shakes and stuff they can sell you. Like
mushrooms are pretty like open in Asia in general. They're probably growing them there.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's just a mushroom. Like they don't look at that like it's a thing. They're looking at like amphetamine, opium, heroin, the stuff that ruins. Okay, so the reason in Asia why it's a worse crime to be a drug dealer than to be a murderer is because if you murder one person, you murdered one person. But if you're a drug dealer, you're ruining all of those families. Like you're just like they look at it like it's worse on society if you're a drug dealer than if you just like whatever, had gotten a bar fight and stabbed someone. Like, I know that sounds crazy.
Which, I mean, it doesn't sound that crazy. I mean, if it was applied to pot, which I think that it is, then that sounds crazy. But when you're talking about heroin, sure.
That's true. But that's the problem is they kind of shovel it all into one, like kind of like here, like this, it's still like pot's still Schedule 1, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Federally.
Yeah, federally. So it's kind of like the same thing in Asia. They shovel it all in with the same thing, like marijuana is treated exactly the same as heroin, which sucks. So if you go to Thailand, don't do drugs. I would recommend just drinking and, just be careful because, make sure drinks are open in front of you,
Right. Yeah.
like at the full moon party, they give you shooters with your it's like in a bucket with ice. They give you your shooter and then they give you like your Coke, your Coca-Cola or whatever. And you make your own drink. Like
right. So nobody can drug you.
Right.
Yeah.
Cause that's definitely a thing. Like one of my real good friends, she got drugged by a bartender in Thailand and got assaulted. And she ended up they ended up finding out cause it was on video. So she had to stay in Thailand and go to court to prosecute him.
Shit.
And luckily she's pretty tough and like hasn't had any kind of like traumatic, she just chops it up to kind of like, well, when in Rome, but yeah, like luckily she didn't catch any diseases and it was okay. Like it could have been worse, like luckily she just, was assaulted and that was it. Like she didn't get abducted into a human trafficking or anything like that. So
right.
It could have been worse, but that shit does happen. So just for the record, be careful.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, I think people think of Thailand as a safe place, but I mean, it's not exactly safe. I mean, it's safer than a lot of countries, right. But it's not like just risk-free if you're out.
Yeah. Be careful.
It's not the United States.
If you're a woman especially, man, it's different. It's different if you're like a yoked dude.
Right.
It's just harder. There's less reason to fuck with us.
Right. I mean, nobody wants to fuck me.
No.
I mean, somebody, some people do, but they're not going to pay for it.
Gay people, they do just fine on their own. Like they don't need to you know what I mean? There's not much of a market for that, but anyway.
Yeah.
It's not, it sucks thinking about but that shit does happen, man. Like girls do get abducted. You just got to be smart.
Yeah. I mean, that shit happens in the United States too, but it's, I don't know why it's more frequent in those places. That's actually one thing about Thailand. I was like, I wonder how much of this, because I remember going to this town adjacent to Bangkok. I'm forgetting the name of it, actually. It's like 2 hours away to the southeast.
Phuket.
Phuket.
Was it Phuket?
Yeah. It's just like the entire town is a brothel.
Oh, yeah. Much. Phuket is just, the history there is that was a huge naval base.
Oh, okay.
Post-Vietnam. So the Americans, obviously, when they're, they come off their boats, they're looking to party. So that's kind of how that culture got set up, and the whole ladyboy thing, how that started was these men figured out if they dressed like girls, they could make a ton of money by fucking soldiers, and eventually it just got kind of integrated into the culture, and which they say, I think statistically 1 out of 5 females in Thailand is a natal male.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think that's the numbers.
That's a super high number. Yeah,
I know. But
well, I mean, I was just like struck by. So I hired this guy to take me around town, and so I hop on a scooter, and I was just struck by the fact, like, we were driving for like 45 minutes around town, and we never left an area that wasn't just all brothels. That was the only establishment that was.
You go to Phuket for either getting cheap tattoos or brothels, and that's it, But usually Thailand, most of it's kind of like I think it's mostly like independent contracting women or ladyboys, whatever, will kind of walk in the streets kind of thing. The brothel, they don't really have I guess the strip club maybe is a brothel. I didn't really dabble too much in that department when I was there.
Okay.
South America mostly, and then like Prague, the brothels in Prague are pretty lit. Like that's probably the best European scene. Like it's like the cheaper version of Amsterdam.
Okay.
Going to the Czech Republic. Yeah. But
you said Amsterdam sucked.
Amsterdam was terrible. Yeah. Because of the fact it's just such a huge tourist trap just for that. Like it's just for like going back to what I said earlier about like what makes a good prostitute a good prostitute. She makes you forget she's a prostitute. Like that's when it's fun. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
when she's into it. They're not into it in Amsterdam. Like they're once they get you in their room, they're like once they start going, you know, it's like they want to charge you extra to take their bra off. You know, it's like they're hustling you. Like they're straight hustlers over there, right?
Right.
They don't give a shit about you. They're not having fun. That's why that for me wasn't really enjoyable. And I think I tried it like 3 different times, like 3 different women. Like it just, and every time was the same thing. Like it just getting hustled. It just like sucked. And the last one, they stole my passport.
Yeah.
So yeah, I got a bad taste in my mouth with that one, that place. But other than that, beautiful country. The locals are so nice. Like, I mean, most people in Europe are just nice people in general, just because of, you know, just their long history of everything, fighting, and, you know, it's just different.
But Prague is a different story, you say.
Oh, dude. Yeah, and it's super cheap. I was in Prague in 2008. So this is when I was in college. So this was, so one of my best friends used to work for Delta. So we would fly standby and we would just take off. So I did travel a little bit when I was younger too. So I think I was 21 when I was in Prague. So this was a while ago. So I don't know if things have changed, but I don't think they've adopted the euro. I think they still use the crown, or it's the kron, or whatever they call it.
Okay.
And at the time, I remember like a beer was like $1. You know, it's just cheap. Like everything was just real cheap, like in a bar. You know what I mean? Like it was super cheap. It was, you know, it's Eastern Europe is different than the West. Ukraine, even I've been to Ukraine. That was another place where prostitution is very open. Poland is another place where prostitution is legal. Poland's a place where they go. The legal age in Poland, I think, is 14. So you can legally, like a 14-year-old girl can be a sex worker in Poland. So a lot of people go to Poland just to have sex with like young girls because it's totally legal.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I know it is crazy, but hey, man, I'm not like gonna sit here and like say what age is appropriate. You know, what is it? The U.S. it's 18, right? I don't know, man. Like, I'm not gonna try and figure that one out. But for the record, I did not have sex with a 14-year-old in Poland. Okay, just she said she was older than that. So.
right.
I don't want to sound like that guy, man. Jesus Christ. But it was very sad to see, like when I was in Cambodia, you would see like old Western dudes with like younger girls.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fucked. Like I had a woman offer me her daughter. She was like 8 for a night for $20 US. And I was like, lady, here's just take $20. Like, I'm sorry that your life is this bad.
Yeah.
Like I've seen that poor, like that kind of people where they're just like, what other options do they have? But then you go to Phnom Penh, which is the capital of Cambodia, and you see people in Ferraris because of the corruption. Like, okay, so MDMA comes from the sassafras tree, which grows prevalent in Cambodia. So the government is all in cahoots with they take out what they do is they tap the tree to get the liquid and the sap and all that shit out, and they barrel it up, and they ship that to Amsterdam, and that's where all the good stuff's made. So that's how the drug money's coming in to Cambodia. So it's like you see people in Ferraris, and then you see people that are so poor that they're trying to pimp out their 7-8-year-old daughters to Westerners. Man, it's fucking nuts, and it's sad because you can pay the cops off. Like it's not even like even the cops are poor. You can go to Cambodia and go to a military base and give them $300, and they'll give you a rocket launcher, and you can blow up a cow.
What the fuck?
That's actually a thing. Like you can't make this shit up, dude.
Blow up a cow, dude.
I was gonna do it, but then everyone who I was with looked at me and was like, "Dude, you are an American. Like that's like, what are you doing?" And I'm like, and as I thought about it, I was like, "Dude, you're right. This is so stupid. Like, why would I do this?" Like, but then again, I am a little redneck.
Hey man, like when in Rome, blow up a fucking cow, I guess.
Like when else are you gonna have the chance as a civilian to like even shoot an RPG rocket launcher unless you're on Call of Duty or something? But like when can you actually do that? Like, hey, you can go to Cambodia and do that straight up. I'll tell you this right now. In Cambodia, they prefer US currency. They don't even want their own currency. I think they call it the real. And it's like if you have real, they'll take it there. But they don't want it. They want US dollar. So, and here's another crazy thing about Cambodian currency. It's not transferable outside of Cambodia. So if you take, for example, if you like in Thailand, they use the baht. So if you take baht and you come back to US, you can transfer back to US dollars. But if you take Cambodian currency, it's worthless once you leave. Like,
sure.
I'm 100% positive. At least that's how it was when I was there last. When was that? 2014, maybe 15.
Well, I mean, the U.S. dollar is strong for a reason. It's no one's going to default on the dollar, really.
Everybody wants the U.S. dollar.
Yeah,
everywhere you go, like they'll take that.
At least for now.
At least for now.
They keep hyperinflation going for long enough, and who knows? Maybe
start using Bitcoin.
Yeah, they'd be like, no, we want Bitcoin.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. The feds are trying to regulate that now too, so it's just a shit show. But I don't know if you're into crypto. Did you ever dabble much into crypto? Or
I haven't really dabbled in it, but actually one of the first conversations that I had was with a buddy of mine who's a big crypto guy, and he's got me convinced that I need to start buying some stuff.
I got lucky. I got in like fairly early-ish. Shoulda, woulda, coulda, but I've done okay. So everything I have right now in my portfolio on my crypto wallet, it's all just a free roll. It's all money that I made. So I've already pulled out and profited enough for me to be happy with it.
Yeah,
it's just super volatile market. I would recommend people do some research on before they start dumping all your eggs in that basket. But
yeah, it doesn't seem like a dump all your eggs in that basket sort of situation, but it's like high risk, high reward. But the decentralized finance component of it was what really interested me the most.
Right.
So I'd like to figure out how to get in on that, like loaning liquidity essentially in those crypto markets, because it seems like that is where a lot of money can be made. He was telling me he makes sometimes like 100% annual interest rates on money that he's put up.
Oh yeah, dude. I mean, that first wave I hit, it was fucking nuts, man. Like in a matter of like 1 week, you're like 30-40K swings, like just crazy. Like the crypto was a wild ride, man. That's all I'm gonna say. But I live like I'm broke. I don't want people to know I got any money. Like I just want everybody to think I'm broke, because people change if they find out you have money. Like if I told you I was a millionaire, you would look at me completely different.
I personally wouldn't, because I've been around enough of that, and I see people for people. But yeah, I get it.
But like if we went out for drinks or something, and if you knew I had way more money than you, like you would just kind of like assume I'd pick up the tab more often than not, kind of thing. Like, but probably, I don't know.
I'm not that way, but yeah, I feel
this way. If my if you have family and they know you're balling out, like they're gonna come out of the woodwork. That's all I'm gonna say. But I mean, hey, I'm broke. I'm just gonna say that for the record. I don't have any money.
People come out,
driver, okay? Leave me alone.
People come out of the woodwork in general, man. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
I mean, I've experienced that myself, and it's a weird feeling.
It is, man. Especially because you feel, life's not fair, man. We all start from a different place. But like I said, I'm very humbled from traveling and seeing real poor people. India was another place that I was just completely like, oh my God, these people are just so poor. Living in a it's like living in just trash. Like it's just nuts that there's that type of humans in the world, and there's just no option for them.
Yeah, literally, like
billions of people in India, and only like a few of them get to like get a visa and come over here and study and become doctors and shit. Like it's a thing, and it's like people don't realize why do they come over here and bust ass so hard? Because their whole family is riding on this. Like they are like it's crazy, that kind of pressure. Like I'm using Indian as a example. I'm sure a lot of other Asian countries do this as well. Koreans do as well, but put a lot of emphasis on their children, banking it.
China,
yeah, but it's it's pretty disparaging to see the poor people there. Like when I see the guy panhandling here on Colfax, it's not the same. Like I don't have the same sympathy for that guy or girl, because it's especially when they're able-bodied. Yeah. Like and I don't know that person's story. I don't know what kind of trauma they have or mental illness or whatever. But like generally speaking, in this country, you've got a pretty good chance of like building your life. You've got access to clean water, at least. Like this guy can find clean water. He can go to McDonald's and ask for a cup of water, and like it's free. Okay, you can just like you can drink water out of the tap here in this country, and unless you're in Flint, Michigan, you'll be okay. So but in India, that's not the case. Like they boil their water. It's like filthy water to drink and eat with it. Like it's crazy. Dude, so they're starving over there, but there's cows everywhere, just roaming around, blocking traffic because it's a holy animal. And to come back full circle, I think it's because the magic mushrooms grow out of their shit. So I think that's the history of why that's the worshipped animal. Because why else would they fucking worship this dumbass cow? Like what is that?
Yeah,
That's prime rib, bro. Like I went over there and was like playing, like petting the cows and shit, and people would stop in traffic and just look at me because they're like, "What is this guy doing? You're not allowed to touch these animals." Like, meanwhile, I'm like, "Dude, this is prime rib, bro. Like, this is like, we eat this where I'm from."
yeah. Like I eat this every day for dinner,
and it's delicious. Which, by the way, going back to just one more thing about Iceland, whale. It's one of the only places in the world where you can eat whale.
Okay,
and that was better than Kobe beef that I had in Japan. Whale steak was delicious. Now,
I didn't want to know that, Billy.
Listen, dude, it was so good. It was the best. I mean, imagine a steak, but with a little bit of salt from the ocean flavor just embedded into it. Like you knew it was from the ocean, but it was a mammal. I mean, it was. But I just want to say for the record,
sounds amazing.
They have the minke whale and they have the fin whale. The fin whale, I believe, is the endangered species. It's the bigger version. It's like the big boy whale. It's kind of fucked up because they do still whale those. So, but the waitress told me that I was eating one of the minke whales that's not endangered. It's like a smaller version, but she could have just been bullshitting me. But I did ask. I was like, which breed of whale are you guys eating here? Then again, she probably was just telling me it was the non-endangered one because, this is another foreigner probably going to go back and talk shit about us killing whales. But hey, man, they've been doing it for a long time, and that's part of their how they get their money. They ship it to a lot of it goes to Japan, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
But think about it. If it's illegal to have whale meat in like over here in the U.S., there's got to be a reason, and the reason is it's fucking delicious. For the record.
Yeah. And I mean, I think most whale species are pretty much endangered, right?
Well, they said the mink. I think the minke whale. It's either minke or fin. One of those is not endangered. It's the smaller one, and that's the one that they said they were feeding me again. That one is not endangered. So there are some that aren't. But meanwhile, I mean, the restaurant I went to, it was called Rain. I think it was called Rain. Yeah, and I can't remember the other name of this other restaurant I went to, but it was on like the port. You could see all the whaling boats coming in with like these whales, bro. It was fucking wild. And like you could see them craning them off and like shipping them off. It was wild, dude. But it's kind of cool.
Yeah,
like it's because
I mean, that's part of their culture too. I mean, they've been doing that for I'm sure
years,
yeah,
like over. Like it's just, and the sheep is another thing that they eat. That like their life depended on the winter sheep. The oldest sheep species in the world that's never been crossbred. So the sheep there right now is the same species of sheep that was brought there back in 800, 80. Yeah, they have like super long hair and they're pretty wild.
Nice.
Yeah, but their Thanksgiving meal is a sheep head, which I did eat.
Just the head.
The head, the eyeballs, everything. And the reason they eat that once a year is to remind themselves of like how they're still there. Because without that sheep, and everything from that sheep, like nothing went to waste. Their ancestors ate everything, and the sheep kept them alive, man, as a country. So even little kids, like their parents are like, eat that because that's how you're here. It's disgusting, but
I mean,
it's humbling.
I mean, certain things that we find disgusting, I don't know that other cultures. Yeah. I mean, even when I was in China, they're like, "Oh, here's like duck head and feet," and it was delicacy for them, and it actually was pretty good. And once I got over the idea of that, I was like gnawing on a duck's head. It's
pretty ballsy for you, being a Western white dude eating some duck feet.
I lived in China for like 14 months. So
what part?
Northwest part for the majority of it, Xinjiang.
Okay.
Which is like, it's what used to be Turkmenistan. It's where, have you heard about like the Uyghur conflict and the Uyghur people?
Yeah. I know all about that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I know a little bit about that. I just know that's, it's kind of a sad situation, but
yeah. Well, so they're actually, the majority of the people living there, or like the ethnic people living there, they were Turkmenistan until like 1944 when China took over. But at any rate, they speak Uyghur, which is a Turkic-based language. They're Muslims. They're not like, culturally Chinese at all. And so it's this really weird nexus of that culture and the Han Chinese that took over. And so like the major city where I was living, it was like 50% Han, 50% ethnic groups that were, ethnic air quotes minorities in China, but they were the majority in Xinjiang. And
what were you doing there?
Studying Mandarin for the most part.
Oh, so you speak Mandarin. That's wild.
Yeah.
Why? Were you English teacher or something?
I ended up teaching English, but just to give me something to do and make a little money on this.
What year did you go?
This was '08, so it was during
wow.
it was during the Olympics in Beijing.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I had started a construction company and sold it, and my back was injured. It was just part of the reason that I was getting out of that industry. I was like, this number one, not what I want to do for the rest of my life. Number two, I'm hurt. I need to take some time off from manual labor. And so I was like, well, fuck it. What do I want to do? And I've got a bunch of cash. I'm going to go live abroad and I'm going to study a language. Okay. And I wanted to study one that was like so far out there from English that it would like restructure my brain, which it definitely did.
It's not Latin based, so you're definitely learning something completely off the wall. It's like for me, Korean sounds normal because I mean I just speak Korean, but like listening to Chinese to me sounds just like weird sounds. But
it is weird sounds.
Well, yeah, no, but I mean, but it's kind of like structured like baby talk. Like ni hao means like you good.
Yeah,
yeah, it's very like. I mean, I don't want to say it sounds like baby talk, but it's very, it's structured a little differently than the Latin based languages.
I think the baby talk thing is actually really accurate because I mean it's very
to the point.
The structure is extremely simple. Yeah. Actually, I mean there's like 5,000 characters, but at the same
to read a newspaper in China, you have to memorize on average anywhere from 2,000 to 3,000 different characters.
Yeah,
which is insane. Which, by the way, Korea is a very scientific language. I could teach you to read Korean in 1 hour.
Really?
Absolutely. It's pieced together. It's scientific. It's all pieced together, and you can just read it by the way it looks. You won't know what the hell you're saying.
Sure, you're just saying phonetically.
Right, but it's a very scientific language. The king back in like 1400 developed that alphabet for Korea.
Interesting.
Which, by the way, Korea has the lowest illiteracy rate in the world.
Simple language.
Simple to read. Just say that.
Korean isn't tonal, is it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of tone. But did you watch Squid Game or any of these?
I didn't, no.
Well, if you listen to the Korean language, the tone is kind of important. Not as much as Chinese. I think Chinese is like way more emphasizing on the tones.
Yeah.
Like saying something with a little off tone is completely different than... But there's whole riddles or like
tongue twisters that are basically just sure. It's like
that's some wild shit. I was in China for just visiting back in 2018. I think I went to Beijing and Shanghai, and then of course I had to go to Hong Kong, and then from there I went to Macau. Which I don't know if you know what Macau is, but it's like the Las Vegas of Asia, basically.
I've heard that. Yeah, never been.
Okay, well, anyway, it's wild, man. Macau's wild. That's probably the closest, like the brothels there. It's probably the closest thing you can get.
Back on topic here.
Well, back to
the brothels.
Well, like for example, when I lived in Korea, we went to Gangnam, and you'd go to these high end brothels where like they were all ran by the organized crime.
Okay,
it's kind of like this gray area in Korea where like it's kind of legal, but it's kind of not, right? It's accepted because it's part of their culture, man. It was a man's world. Like that's why my mom wanted to get the fuck out of there because, like my grandfather had girlfriends and shit. Like it was just normal. But if a woman cheats on her husband back then, you'd go to prison. It's fucking wild. It was wild. So, but for whatever for whatever it's worth, like the geisha, for example, there's a long history in Japan.
Yeah,
with, training these women to be high end, just give pleasure to men. But the brothels in Korea, same thing. Like real high end, they give you these crazy massages, man. Like it's just stuff that, like it changed my life. Like a lot of the stuff,
changed my life.
For example, like imagine a girl just bathing you. Like you just lay on this like bath table, and they like shower you down, clean you, right? And then they just dump oil all over you, and they massage you with their body without using their hands. Like just imagine this, okay? Like
sounds pretty nice. I'm not gonna lie.
Massage is better than the sex, man. Like it's not even about the sex. It's about the experience. About feeling like this woman is just like giving you as much pleasure as possible. Like, and they're professionals at it. Okay. Now, nowhere else in the world have I ever experienced this, like in Korea. Than when I was in Macau. Macau was the same way. They were trained for the full on Monty like experience. Like when I was in Thailand, they would fill this tub and they would bathe you in this tub, but like, you're pretty much weightless when you're in water. So they could like pick you up and like rub your back while you're like in this fucking tub. And it's just fucking wild, man. Like, it's just, forget about the sex. The massage is where it's at. So if you're a Westerner, for example, like you can't go to Korea and go to a high-end brothel. They won't take you because you're a foreigner. Like they don't want that to be out there. I'm sure you could go to like the military base and find like some sea brothel there, but it's not, you kind of got to be Korean. Like they don't want, for example, the casinos in Korea, you have to be a foreigner to go. They will not allow Koreans to go gamble because they know it's stupid and you'll lose your money.
But they're like, but these high-end massage parlors.
Yeah, that's totally legit. Yeah. But that's just part of their culture, man. Like, it's like that.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of like, they call it yangdari. It's like a side chick in Korea. Yangdari, it means new legs, or young legs is the translation. And basically, it's just kind of like, it's really accepted for men to have like side chicks.
It's that way in China as well.
Yeah. It's like having conversations with my grandfather about this stuff, and he was just like, man, it was just the way it was. Like, I love your grandmother, but it was arranged marriage. Like, he was like, I had to marry her when I was 19. Like, cut me some slack too. It's like, it's like, I get it, man. I get it. But you cost a lot of heartache with all the, because he had 3 daughters, and it's like, 3 daughters and 2 sons. And it was just like, obviously women kind of frown upon their dad running around and stuff. I get it, but it's tricky.
So being through all this, you've got a girlfriend, right?
Oh yeah.
So are you still on the prostitute circuit?
Oh, no. But all the stuff I learned from the prostitutes, like the massages, I incorporate that into my life with her now. So like, she's never had a full on Asian massage like this. By the way, Asians are the ones that like figured out pressure points, acupuncture. So when I say like massage, it's like, that's kind of weird. They were the ones that really crafted it, you know? So the sexual massage, well, of course, what is that called? Indians do it too. What is that shit?
Kama Sutra?
Yeah, but there's a type of yoga. It's like a sensual tantric. Yeah, tantric. Yeah. So a lot of other countries are really interested in the massage and all that. But anyway, it's just monkey see, monkey do for me. Like some of the stuff that these women did to me, I've incorporated it into and even before I met my girlfriend, because man, it's tough dating nowadays. Just for the record, I've been pretty much single my whole life. I'm 35 years old. I've just been playing the game for like 15 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For the most part. Usually after 6 months, I kind of just move on, unless it's the one. You know what I mean? And I finally found the one. During COVID, because it was a tough time dating in COVID. Actually, it was rough because everyone was scared. I'm the kind of dude that like, if I'm feeling it, I'll raw dog a chick on the first date. You know what I mean? Like I take chances in life, dude. But
I'm there with you, dude. I'm there with you.
But I mean, you just gotta. I wouldn't recommend doing that all the time. But like if you take a girl home and she says you don't have to use a condom, I'm on birth control. That's to me is like, let's just go ahead and use a condom.
Yeah, it's a good sign. You should.
Yeah. But if a girl's like, no, you have to wrap it up. I'm like, okay, this girl's a little more responsible. She's a responsible one. She's probably okay. Like, when did you get your,
it's like, how do I get her to be irresponsible?
Yeah.
With me only.
Yeah. When was the last time you had a pap smear? A few months ago? Perfect. Clean bill of health, man. I tell you what, man. But
so during COVID, you met your current girlfriend.
Man, she's awesome, dude. She's got everything I've ever wanted, and she's still a little crazy sometimes because she's Latin. But you got to take the good with the bad, And
oh yeah,
I recommend everyone date as much as they can just to kind of build that calibration of like what meshes well with them and what's not. Like, what are deal breakers? Like for me, if a girl is not into her health, to me, that's a deal breaker because I don't want because I was really fat when I was little because my mom let me eat whatever I wanted because she didn't have food growing up. Like when she came to America, I was like, oh my God, there's just food everywhere. It's crazy. It's awesome. And I guess my second drug after spinning in circles and getting dizzy was sugar.
Okay. Yeah.
So when I was a kid, I was
most people's first.
Yeah, man. So I blew up. Thankfully, I hit puberty, joined the football team, and broed out and got shredded. But I'll never forget how shitty it was being fat, dude. And I have the pictures to prove it because people they never believe me because like my skin just sprung right back. I guess it's the Asian blood, just I got good skin.
And you were young.
Yeah. I was like 10, but I had like boobs, bro. Like I couldn't see my penis, and it's not because my penis is small. It's because my gut was so big. I used to wear an extra large, bro, when I was in elementary school. It's crazy. Yeah, so I don't want my kids like I've had this conversation with my mom. I'm not mad at her for letting me drink sodas and eat like an entire bag of Doritos and taking me to McDonald's 3 times a week. Like I don't because that was her way of showing that she loved me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like she would just not say no. Like if you know, and it, but I wish she didn't do that. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's probably not for the best.
Yeah, like, I mean, it's sad to me when I see, because again, I'm from Kentucky, bro. So, like, there's some big people in Kentucky. People that don't hit puberty people hit puberty, but they don't join the football team.
Yeah.
They keep eating shit.
They just keep getting bigger and bigger.
Bigger. And it's just like their kids, they end up having kids, and the kids do the same. And it's like, for me, I think it should be punishable if your kid is adolescence and develops type 2 diabetes. Like you're not, that's not cool. Like I don't think that's
no, that's like child abuse. And
but it's not though. Like it's not illegal to feed your kid junk food 24/7 and let them be obese by the time they're 10. That's not illegal. But giving them cigarettes is. But it's okay to tell you smoking in front of your kids is not okay. But it's not okay for you to say, hey, you shouldn't be giving your kids all that soda. Like you can't say that. It's fucked up, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like neglect in some sort of way to me, but yeah. I mean, a lot of people just don't know too, right? They're just acting out of ignorance that there's, major health problems that can arise from just feeding straight sugar like in liquid form to your kids all day.
But no, but going back to that, so like going back to dating, like if a girl's not into health and fitness, if I do have children one day, I kind of don't I don't want to have to be arguing back and forth about like eating shit food.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I don't want to eat more. I don't want to eat fast food more than like once a week. Like I don't want to feed my future children fast food more than once a week. Like, and I don't think that's, like I don't want to have to argue with my partner.
I don't think I'll ever feed my kids fast food ever. Probably. I mean,
You're
honestly,
never gonna have a Happy Meal. Okay, so just get over it.
Get over it, you little shit.
Eat your fucking kale. Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna go that extreme, but so again, like I did study health. I'm technically a nutritionist. I got my bachelor science degree in human nutrition and biochemistry. So I got to learn a lot about food and eating right, and I was really into that, and I feel good being healthy. So I want my family to be the same. Like I want them to be active and whatever sport they want to be in, but like just do something active. They'll probably be shredders like me, but we'll see. Maybe they'll be like little Cubans and just want to
hang on the beach.
Yeah. Maybe they'll take after their mom and just be scared of snow. But
what do you think the most ideal diet is?
Oh, dude, you can't answer that because everyone's body's different.
Yeah.
Like I just found, well, first of all, I'm lactose intolerant. Like, so I can only handle a little bit of dairy. Thankfully for my Asian side for that. So like something like for me, I have to eat a little differently than someone like you maybe. Like you could probably eat a whole pizza and be fine. If I did that, I'd be on the shitter for 4 hours. You see what I'm saying? So it's like it's too complicated of a question. I think people just need to learn how to listen to their body.
Yeah.
Or pick something and just stick with it.
I think that's a really intelligent response. I mean, so I tried this thing, the AIP diet recently. It's an autoimmune protocol diet. And my girlfriend has type 1 diabetes and has thyroid issues, or like her thyroid was starting to show issues.
She has to take medication for that.
Well, she has to take insulin all the time.
What about for thyroid?
For the thyroid, so it was like her first blood test that showed that it was causing issues. And so I did a bunch of research, and I was like, hey, there's this diet that certain people are reporting that after they do it and they cut all of the inflammatory stuff out of their diet, that their thyroid pops back. And so we tried it together, and I was like, I'll just do it with you. I'm not having any issues of any kind, but I'll do it with you, and we'll see, after like a month and a half, you'll get your next blood test. If it's still shit, whatever, we'll drop the diet.
Right.
But she got her second blood test, normal thyroid.
No way.
Yeah.
That's wild, dude. That's awesome. Yeah. But really, if you think about it, that's kind of how our bodies work. Like if you feed it the right shit it needs, which again, everyone's body's a little different. Like some people need more of some things, and so I think it's important. Actually, my girlfriend just got me a kit that where like you send in a stool sample, and they do the microbiome lab work on it, and they kind of they tell you, basically, like what you should be eating and what you should not be eating based on the flora in your gut. It's pretty wild shit.
That's interesting.
Yeah, but it's like a lot of the stuff they said. Like,
what's the name of this?
Let me look it up. It started with an O.
Okay.
Hold on a second. Let me text my girlfriend real quick. I just set up my phone where I erase text messages after every 30 days.
Looking to be on the DL.
Well, no, it's just I ran out of space on my phone.
Oh, okay.
I was like, I needed to clear up space, so I had I had like 4 years worth of text messages. It was like 20 gigs worth of fucking text messages. I was like, I should probably delete all this.
Yeah.
Plus, back when I was single, like, you know,
you've got like 1,000 girls.
They send you videos and pictures and all that crap. It's just, you know, so I saved a lot of that stuff. You know, like if a girl snaps me something, like I'm screen recording that. You know what I'm saying?
You're like, guaranteed, you're screen recording that shit.
Going back to what's the name of that stool sample? She's in Vegas right now with my sister-in-law. She just landed, so they're having a girls' trip.
Oh, nice.
Which is cool. You know, we gotta have her time. I was in Vegas with a bunch of guys for my birthday, and she wasn't with me. So it's like, you know, that's a good compromise. Like if you have that kind of trust, you're off to a good start.
Oh yeah, no, that's legit. I mean, the ability to just like live your life in the way that you want to live it, however that is, you should be able to do that with your significant other.
Yeah.
I mean,
but I think the problem nowadays, man, with because again, man, I've been dating since, let's just say since I was 18. As an adult, I got my first cell phone at 18. It was a Razor, right?
Yeah.
So back then, to get a date, you had to actually like, you know, talk to a girl in real life and like, you know, convince her to like give her your number and talk to her and take her out and all. Now
I remember those days.
Dude, nowadays, it's like girls just assume you're a serial killer until they decide you're not. So you have to prove to them you're not a psycho, okay? That's the wall that everyone has up now. It's crazy. Like dating now is so much different than it was 15 years ago, you know?
Right. Yeah.
For example, like I remember when I was in college, we had a professor that met her partner online, and we were like, everyone laughed because we were like, what?
Yeah, I was like, what?
You met someone online and you're gonna like meet them, and it was just so weird. It was like one of those websites, you know, before apps were a thing. And now it's like weird to meet someone in real life. It's like it's normal to meet someone online now. You're like, I don't know how you met your girlfriend or how long you've been dating
in person, and yeah, through rock climbing actually. So
okay, that's sick.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean that's the abnormal, right? Yeah, I'm an old dude, so you know that seems normal to me, but in today's day and age, it's not.
Right. Okay, so she just texted me back. It's called Ombre, Ombre. That's the name of the company. It's pretty expensive. It was
like, hey, Ombre, let me take a sample of your shit and look through it.
Dude, it was legit though. Like it's like it took them a month, I think, to come up with the results, and it's all on their app. Like you scan in your code or whatever, and it pulls up your report, and it breaks down everything. And apparently, I'm gluten intolerant. Like I'm 80% gluten intolerant, which I didn't know. Yeah, so maybe.
Are you gonna cut that out and see how it does for you?
I'm gonna try. Well, so the reason she ordered this for me is because like she would see me in bed, like in agonizing gut pain for about an hour. Like this was just a normal part of my life. Like because I eat everything, bro. And I mean, I have really bad diarrhea and stuff a lot. Like sometimes I just have to pull over and shit on the side of the road. And she's seen me do that. Like
she's just like, there's something not right here, man.
Well, I just thought that's just how I am. That's just, you know, like once a month I shit my pants, like legit my whole life. And I just kind of, you know, it's just the way it is for me. But she was like, as her being a nurse, she's like, we need to fix this. Like, this is not normal. And I'm like, okay, but I eat everything. So it's like, I don't know. But apparently, yeah. So maybe I have to cut back on some dairy and cut back on the gluten, man. Like, but usually like I would go through these really bad stomach pains like for an hour, and then it would just go away and I'd be fine. Like, so it was manageable.
Sure.
You know? Like and being kind of ADD, like I kind of just ignore it, you know, it's like, whatever. You know, like most people, it would be traumatizing for them to have to pull over and shit on the side of the highway. Cause like, dude, there are times when it's like, I have 2 minutes. Before that sensation, I was normal. I'm just driving, enjoying my day, and then bam, it hits me, and it's like, you've got to make a decision, bro. You got 2 minutes, and this is coming out.
Yeah, that sucks, dude.
Yeah, and I told my dad this, and he was like, "That's crazy. Like, what do you mean you've been just living like this your whole life?" And I'm like, "Yeah. Well, what
are we talking? And is it just like liquid shit at that point,
bro?" Yeah.
And that happens like once a month, you said?
Well, shitting on the side of the road.
Yeah.
Now, usually that's usually like once every 6 months ordeal.
Okay.
You know, it's not like I usually I can hold it and find a gas station or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like I do drive, like again, I do drive semi pretty long distances, like sometimes in Wyoming or Nebraska, where there's like it's like an hour to the next, you know, exit.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like, you know, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do, man. But
Oh yeah, no judgment. I was just, you know, I mean, for anyone that's traveled a significant amount, if you haven't like shit yourself,
Yeah.
you know, you haven't actually traveled.
right. Yeah, if you haven't sharded at least, like I almost don't believe people when they tell me they've never sharded. Like I think you're lying to me, but I'm not gonna argue with you on this. But like, I think you're just too embarrassed to admit that you've sharded. Like to me, that's just crazy that people. But you know, whatever. Like some people have never gotten hemorrhoids, and I get them all the fucking time. So it's like, I guess it's a thing. Not everyone's going back to the equal thing. Like we're not all equal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, it does sound like that's probably some dietary shit that's like fucking with you.
But I love food, man, and I eat it all. So that's the problem. I think I need to start. Again, I was just going through this allergic reaction, like I was telling you about earlier. Like I don't know what it was, and I've had about 6 of those my entire life. But this was the only one that's just not gone away. It's crazy.
Interesting.
Yeah, like I have like Benadryl in my pocket right now, just for whenever I start feeling the tingles come back.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'm trucking.
Dude, but so when I started this AIP thing, I was like, you know, like I'll probably just go back to eating normal after this, right? Maybe I'll
Normal.
just like eating whatever the hell I want, basically, you know, because I was like you know, it's like I'll eat anything,
Right. Yeah.
If like I want lots of food and I want a lot of protein, you know,
Right.
I'm trying to be an athlete, you know, working out all the time, so I need a lot of food.
Right.
Doesn't really matter what it is.
Yeah.
As long as it's healthy and
You know what's crazy? Like I try telling people this. Like if you're active, you can eat almost whatever you want and stay in shape. But if you're not active, it's like your body, your metabolism's so slow that you eat a little bit and your body just puts it, you store it back as fat. Like it's crazy.
Oh yeah.
Because I've lived with guys, you know, growing up. Some of my friends are a little bigger, and they don't eat a lot. I eat more than they do, but they're not active. That's the problem. Like a lot of the guys I play poker with and shit, they're just, again, it's just mind blowing because I know how much they're eating. It's not like they're in their room hiding from us. You know what I mean? Like eating.
Yeah.
Like I see what these guys are eating and it's pretty minimal.
Yeah, lack of activity will definitely mess up your metabolism.
Yeah.
But dude, when I tried this diet, it changed the way that I feel. It changed my body composition. I mean, I was like pretty lean already, but it was like basically every ounce of fat that I had like melted off of me. And
What was this diet called?
AIP.
AIP. I've never heard this.
Yeah. So it's basically all you're doing is you're cutting out every single thing that could be theoretically inflammatory. And so it's a super restrictive diet. I mean, it's like,
So what are you eating?
like meat and vegetables and that, like
Kind of paleo.
It's like paleo on steroids. Like paleo
Sign me up.
allows like
API.
cheese, AIP,
Or AIP, sorry. Okay. I'm gonna look that up.
autoimmune protocol.
I might look into this. That sounds like it's doable.
Yeah.
Like meat, I can eat meat and veggies all day.
Yeah. I mean, there's other stuff so like you can, for example, get like coconut yogurt and eat that instead of regular yogurt. Like
Okay.
so there's a bunch of like replacement shit that you can do. And like my girlfriend got really into baking with all these like alternative flours. Like you can use like tiger nut flour and all this crazy stuff that like I didn't even know existed prior to this, and like make breads and all sorts of stuff that's legit good, but you have to make a lot of it on your own. You can't get it in the grocery store, unfortunately.
Right. Well, at least you got a girlfriend that cooks, man. Nowadays, I remember asking girls this on a date, and it's like some of them would get offended. It's like, man, we're living in a different time, but yeah, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, dude.
Like it's like because being in Denver, man, there's a lot of really progressive left, and there's a lot, there's still some. It's you never really know what you're getting into when you show up on the first date. Sometimes,
Yeah.
I had to learn how to cook, basically.
Well, I mean, cooking is a good life skill to have, like be able to feed yourself, right?
Thinking about getting a smoker, thinking about it. But then, of course, my girlfriend's like, well, that's more carcinogenic. And I'm like, just let me live, man,
Don't fuck with my vibe here.
Yeah, like, let me smoke some ribs. Like, God. But
Yeah, I mean, maybe you don't want to eat smoked meat for every single meal of the day or
If
something.
I buy a $1,500 Traeger, I'm gonna be smoking meat every single fucking day. You know what I mean?
Right, totally.
Like every meal is gonna be smoked meat. Like fuck you. Anyway.
It's delicious, man. Yeah, we can wrap this up. We've been on here for like an hour 45, but I guess before we get off, so number one country to go to if you want to prostitute.
Oh God, that's the take home message here. Like that's what everyone wants to hear. Huh?
Well, I've got a few questions for you. That's one of them.
American.
I mean, as an American.
Okay, so the reason I asked that, it depends on like, okay, are you into Asian chicks? Or are you into white chicks? If you're into more white chicks, I would say Prague. If you're into if you're more down with the Asian, you got to go to Macau.
Okay.
That's the real deal. If you want the full Monty Asian experience,
So this
massage, all that, it's the only place you can go and get it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Macau. And so the other thing that we didn't get to talk enough about is mushrooms.
Okay.
So
I've done a lot of those. The most I've ever consumed in one setting is 8 grams.
okay.
I'm probably gonna do like 12 next time I do shrooms. I want to just keep going crazier and crazier with it because it's like every time I shroom, it's like, I feel like it humbles me. I'm a better person when I come back,
Yeah.
Like you don't get stressed out over traffic anymore. Right. You know what I mean? Like people that freak out in traffic, it's like, man, that sucks to be like that. Like that guy, like being like that must suck. You know what I mean?
Yeah, true.
If you eat a heroic dose of mushrooms, you realize you being stuck in traffic, that's supposed to be happening. Like you being stuck in traffic just saved your life somewhere. That's the mentality you kind of get from seeing things from a different perspective. Like you realize you're not supposed to make it there on time today. You're supposed to be 5 minutes late because of this traffic or whatever. Like you realize there's some shit going on that we can't really figure out and understand, but it's just just trust the process. You know what I mean?
Trust the process.
Yeah, don't stress, bro. Like you're supposed to be stuck in traffic right now and chill.
So I'm doing an ayahuasca journey this week.
Nice.
And I've never done it before. Have you?
Yes. So definitely cut dairy out. All that coconut yogurt shit you're eating, you probably don't want to eat that.
Yeah,
I guess coconut is not dairy, so forgive me for this.
But they actually said to take out all fermented food, so I did.
Yeah, and pork too. I don't think you're supposed to eat pork.
No pork, no red meat.
No, yeah. So, but take that serious because when the first time I did ayahuasca, it was with 8 other people. They flew in from different parts of the country, and a few of them didn't listen to their advice on that diet, and those are the ones that shit their pants.
Okay.
So, and coming from me, a guy who shits his pants very easily, I did not shit myself on ayahuasca ever, and I never vomited either. So,
nice.
Yeah, so I think taking that week period to get on that prep diet it's important.
Yeah. Which I am taking seriously.
Yeah, because it's going to be an intense ride, bro.
Yeah,
the most intense ride you've ever been on.
So like, give me the rundown because I want to. I mean, I know this is a conversation unto itself, but
yeah, we could be here for a long time. But I mean, you just don't be scared, man.
I mean, I'm not scared.
Yeah, like everything will be okay.
I mean, I'll say like I'm slightly nervous, like, and not much gets me nervous. I'm pretty much just like fearless across the board. Like things that shouldn't scare me or should scare me don't.
It's all gonna come to light once you hit that ayahuasca, bro. Mother Aya will come and she'll show you some love, man. It's gonna be an awesome time. Like it's the most loving, beautiful thing you've ever done.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That's all I'm going to say, man. Like I said,
that's fair.
I don't want to sound like a crazy guy, man, but have fun. And one more thing about mushrooms for people listening that maybe they get sick if they eat mushrooms and that's killing their vibe. The best way to consume psychedelic mushrooms is by making what's called a lemon tech. So you soak it in lemon juice first.
I've heard about this.
That way it converts the psilocybin into psilocin. And that's actually what you trip on. You don't trip on psilocybin. It has to convert to psilocin with some type of acid. So when you eat mushrooms, your stomach does that. But that's why your stomach sometimes can get, knotted up because of that breakdown process. So you can bypass all that by just crushing up the shrooms, soaking them in fresh lemon juice for about 30, 45 minutes. And then from there, you can you can mix that with tea or make a shake or whatever. Because, obviously you don't just drink straight lemon juice with mushrooms like, ugh.
Right? Yeah, that'd be fucking gnarly.
But you can actually even strain it out if you want. If you want to get all of that the organic powder and gunk off, you can actually strain it out with a cheesecloth or something. But or you can brew it into like a hot pot with tea. You can even mix it with tea. So there's different processes. I would recommend doing that for people that maybe get because my stomach gets fucked up if I eat a bunch of mushrooms. If I eat like 1 or 2 grams, that's fine. But if I'm eating an eighth, or if I'm eating anything over an eighth, I will not consume dried raw mushrooms anymore. I have to do it in the lemon tech method.
Interesting. Yeah, that was actually the way I was planning on doing it next. I'd never tried it that way because it's never bothered my stomach.
Okay, well you're one of the lucky ones.
Yeah,
but some people get.
But I've heard that it also like the come up is extremely fast.
Oh yeah, like 15 minutes.
You're like
whoa. Yeah, it's real quick and it hits you hard and it's over pretty quickly. Like like a normal mushroom trip. If you just ate mushrooms, would probably be like 6 hours or something.
Yeah,
7, from start to finish. I mean, it's kind of drawn out. But if you do the lemon tech method, it cuts that in half.
Is it like more intense during that period?
Oh yeah, man. But that's what you want.
Yeah, I mean that's what I want.
So So, anyways, have fun and. We'll have to talk. We'll have to get up again after you take your ayahuasca, and
we should do a whole ayahuasca decompression episode.
Yeah. Well, that'll be fun, man.
Fuck yeah,
You'll come back. You'll come back a different person, man. A better version. Trust me. You'll come back more humbled. You'll put it this way. You will come back and really be glad to be back.
Yeah, baby. Well. Hey man, Billy, I appreciate you coming on, brother. This is a lot of fun.
This was fun, man. Hopefully this takes off, and we can shoot shit, and
Yeah, you're welcome on anytime. I had a hell of a lot of fun talking to you.
Right on, Tim. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah. All right. Take care, brother.
Later.
And that's a wrap with Billy Bufrd. Holy moly, what a conversation. If you guys weren't entertained by that, you probably have bricks for brains, but what can I tell you? Come out and enjoy some other shit if you can handle it. Not sure you can. Definitely don't tell your mom or your grandma about this podcast unless you want them to get entertained, jazzed, maybe turned on. Man, yeah, definitely just don't turn them on to this podcast because that's just weird. But if you did enjoy the podcast, give it a like, give it a follow, give it a share. We love you guys. Over and out.